Oh, that blasted book. Here, you put me in this situation, Clive. You can bloody well get me out of it. I need a hand with a recipe.
Are you sure it's me you're looking for? I'm not much of a cook.
I'm all the cook will be needing, thank you very much. What I want from you is a little of your time, all right? Oh, and perhaps your sword. You remember Ivan's stew, right? Well, despite the look of the thing, and that awful stench, people wolf it down. So I thought I'd try making one of these supposed masterpieces myself. Had a peek at the book and gave it a go, but, well...
It wasn't as straightforward as you'd hoped. Ivan had the same problem.
Yeah, but this is my blimmin' kitchen, and I will not be outdone. So if you don't want to be seen as playing favourites, I suggest you lend me a hand.
I've never been one to play favourites, Molly. And I would be only too happy to lend you a hand. So, what's on the menu this time?
A fried mortress of skyworm. That's one heck of a name, innit? Recipe seemed easy enough to an old hand like myself. Thought I'd followed it to a T. Only, turns out skyworm livers and drake's mint are not what I thought they were. At least I hope they're not, given the rancid mess they made.
Ivan said the recipes in the culinary pilgrimage date back centuries. Who's to say the ingredients even exist anymore?
Well, that's a question for a scholar, wouldn't you say? Perhaps you know of one? Kindly old fella who haunts the shelves, maybe?
Fine. I'll go and speak to Hippocrates. Perhaps he'll know something. And if he does, I'll see if I can find your ingredients for you.
You do that. Lest we forget, you've got a reputation to uphold.
Those imps are going to break that thing.
Let me help. I know my letters.
Lawsman Hippocrates. I've come to pick your brain if you don't mind. It's about the book you lent Ivan.
Ah, Valisthea, a culinary pilgrimage, a classic. One of my favorites, in fact. The young man did a wonderful job with the Chance's stew. I do hope we shall be able to sample more such marvels in due course.
That's actually why I'm here. I don't suppose you know where I might find skyworm livers and drake's mint.
Ah, so the fabled Saint-Briquois delicacy is next on the menu. Delightful. The descriptions of fried mortress never fail to make my mouth water. Now, skyworm is a somewhat antiquated name for the wyvern, their ground livers being the paste from which the mortress is made.
Dragon livers. How very Saint-Briquois.
One would have thought the disciples of Bahamut would have a touch more reverence for their Eikons brethren, but apparently not. I believe the specific dragon the recipe demands is the blueback wyvern, said to be the very colour of the sea beside which it resides.
So we know where to look for our liver. But what about the drake's mint?
Saint's bonnet in contemporary parlance, a herb which grows along the North Reach coast. I gather that one can locate the cheerful yellow flowers by their heady scent alone, so I'm sure you'll have no trouble finding them. I may add that people once believed game was best served with the flora that sustained it in life, in which regard fried mortress of skyworm is undoubtedly a typical dish of the time.
Meaning that if I find one, I find the other. To Northreach, then.
Best of luck, Clive. And do save me a bite once the dish is complete.
Hippocrates said I should be able to find what I'm looking for somewhere nearby. Bright blue dragons and bright yellow flowers. Should be easy enough to spot. This must be our wyvern. Right. Let's get this over with. That's the wyvern's liver. Now I just need to find the herbs. Bright yellow with a heady scent. I think that's everything Molly needs to resurrect her recipe. Better head back.
Which song should we listen to?
So, did you have that word with Tomes then?
I did, and he was as helpful as ever. He told me exactly where to look, in fact.
And what precisely will I be cooking up? Or is it better not to know?
Blueback wyvern liver. And, a herb known as Saint's Bonnet.
Ah, wyvern livers, was it? Well, at least it weren't actual worms, I suppose. Now then, you stay right where you are. I've got some cooking to do. Let's hope these grand old chefs of yore knew what they were on about. And here we have it. Fried mortress of skyworm. Ivan's offered to make sure it's fit for consumption. Well, I say offered. He as good as begged.
And rightly so. Is there any higher honour than partaking in a slice of culinary history?
So, not fit for consumption then?
What witchery is this? The crackle of the crust gives way to an almost violent richness. Yet it is the piquant kiss of the saint's bonnet that tames this savage dish. It is a tour de force, a force of nature even, a maelstrom of flavour and sensation, a graceful beast emerging from centuries of slumber.
I think he likes it.
Well, I can't quite tell with all that nonsense he's talking. But I reckon you might be right. It was decent then, I take it.
Decent? It's remarkable. And I defy any man to say a word to the contrary. Sid, might I suggest that you command a party of your finest men and women to procure a dozen blueback wyverns forthwith?
I'll give it some thought.
Let me help. I know my letters. Most of...
Sid, perhaps you can help me solve a mystery.
I can certainly try. Who's gone missing this time?
It's not who, but what. Mid's scales, the ones she made for her workshop. I borrowed them to teach the little ones about weight, and shortly after the lesson, well, they vanished. My first thought was that they'd taken them off somewhere to play, but when I asked, they swore they had nothing to do with their having disappeared. Which almost certainly means they had everything to do with it.
Perhaps a visit from Sid will jog their memories.
I think it just might. Thank you. I don't like to imagine that my pupils would lie to me. But if they have, I'll have no choice but to discipline them accordingly. They were in the atrium when I last saw them. As always.
What do you reckon we should do? I say we should...
Sid!
Hard at your studies, I see. And what is that? It's not a set of scales, is it?
No. Of course it isn't.
Well, not anymore, it's not. Oh,
And just how long hasn't it been one?
we're sorry.
But we didn't break them. We dismembered them.
Just like Miss Mididol showed us.
Miss Mididol? And why would she have you dismembering her creations?
Because that's the only way to become a ninja-neer.
Miss Mididol said, the best way I see how something works is to take it apart and put it back together again.
Well then, your work is already half done. Carry on.
About that.
The taking apart was easy enough, but it's the putting back we can't work out.
Speak for yourself. The heavy thing goes at the bottom. Then...
You three need to learn to take responsibility for your actions. So let's have a look at these parts with fresh eyes, shall we? All right. Everything here was once part of Miss Mididol's scales. Every piece has its own role to play, and each is just as important as the others. If even one of them is missing, the scales won't work. So let's think about what those roles might be. You already know one of the pieces, the body. Its role is to support everything else. But what of the others? This is called the arm. Why do you suppose that is? It doesn't look much like an arm.
You're right. It looks more like a wing. Like a chocobo wing!
You've ridden a chocobo before, haven't you, Sid? Will you teach me to ride one day?
I'll think about it. Now, what do arms do?
hold things. So wait, maybe this arm holds things too?
Good thinking. You're on the right track. These round parts are called the pans. You all know what a pan is, don't you?
I do. Molly uses them in the kitchens to fry bangers.
But these aren't for frying bangers, you idiot. They're for weighing stuff.
But what if I wanted to weigh goods? I don't think he'd fit on that little thing.
Probably not.
What are the chains for? Holding the pans up?
Well spotted. Which means something must hold the chains up in turn. This tiny piece is what's called a cogwheel, or gear. Have you ever seen one before?
I have. Miss Minidol's dungeon is full of them. Most are on the floor.
She puts them in all her inventions. They spin round and round and round and round and...
That's right. They're very useful when you want to make things move. Do you remember if there was anything on the scales that moved?
I remember the arm moved when I tried weighing an apple. And then somebody ate it.
It's not my fault. You shouldn't have tried weighing it before lunch.
We know what part's supposed to move and how it's supposed to move. So, let's put the pieces together first, see what doesn't move, and then stick the cogwheel to that.
Not a bad idea. You see? It's not so difficult. So, now that we've taken stock of the parts and learned what they do, what do you think?
I think we've got it.
Then here's what we'll do. You tell me what goes where, and I'll put the scales together.
Well, obviously you need to start with the body. All the other pieces fit onto it, don't they?
And the arms go on the body, just like real arms. Or wings, if you're a chocobo.
And then the arms hold the pans by the chains.
Very good. Let's see if that works. There. All finished.
Yes! We did it!
Well, with Sid's help.
Oh, I just put the pieces together. It was you three engineers who showed me how.
That's right. We're Miss Mididol's hairs.
Her hairs?
Yeah, hairs for the future. She's showing us her secrets now, so we can help out the Hideaway when we're older.
What do you think, Sid? Are we almost ready?
With a little more help from Miss Midadol and Miss Shirley, I'd say it won't be long at all.
You hear that? It won't be long.
Until then, though, do try to be honest with Miss Shirley.
Hey, look. We never used the cogwheel.
You don't think Sid forgot about it, do you?
Let me help.
Well, did you solve the mystery?
It was as you thought. The children had the scales, or the parts of them at least. They dismantled them to see how they worked.
No, Mid will have my head.
Thankfully she won't. This might even have been her idea. Although I was the one who ended up teaching the lesson.
I'm so sorry, Sid. I know how busy you are. I shall see that the children are properly punished.
Please, there's no need. Mid seems to have taken the three of them under her wing. She's even calling them her heirs. She'd have them follow in her footsteps. And her father's.
I see. Sid, do you know why Mid has been spending so much time at the Hideaway of late?
She told me it was because her studies have been interrupted by events in Canva. Is that not true?
No, it isn't. The university offered her a commission. In exchange for full tuition, room and board, they asked her to oversee the design of several new war engines. To anyone else it would be an opportunity, but to Mid, who lost both her parents to war, it was a bitter pill. One she was none too keen to swallow. But that should come as no surprise. She's only ever cared about bringing people hope. The very last thing war can be said to do.
Which explains her heirs. She's working to give them a better life. And so should I. What's the odd engineering lesson?
Oh, you've given them far more than that. And I'm sure they're very grateful.
She can't kick this. Glory to Griga. There you are. And not a moment too soon.
What's happened?
Tarja's busy working herself into an early grave. Since the arrival of her latest patient, she's refused to stop, even for a moment. I've tried offering to see to him in her stead, but she won't hear of it. Clive, she hasn't left the infirmary in days. She's pushing herself too hard. And if she doesn't rest soon, will you talk to her? Order her to her chambers if that's what it takes. Because if she keeps this up, I fear the Hideaway will be without its best physica before too long.
I know better than to order Tarja to do anything. But I'll speak to her.
Oh, thank you. I pray you have better luck than I did.
Well, Tarja, Rodrigue is worried about you. And if what he says is true, then so am I. We all admire your dedication, but you do need to rest.
I will, when it's time. Until then, I'm staying put. We owe him that much.
Who is he?
Someone from my past. Someone who doesn't deserve to die alone. It won't be much longer. The crystal's curse has almost finished its work. If I had the tears, I could ease his passing. But without them, we've nothing that will touch the agony of those last few hours.
How would tears help this man?
Not my tears. Tears of mercy. Alicia, it's the only thing strong enough.
You wouldn't, Tarja. Surely. There must be something we can do for him.
Sometimes an easy death is the greatest kindness we can offer. You do well to remember that, Rodrigue.
I will. We have all the ingredients we need for Alicia Balwam. It needs to be fresh, though, so we rarely have much to hand. I can make the draft if you can bring me what we're missing.
Just tell me what you need.
There is a species of venom-weeping spider that lives in the forests of Norvent, near Lorbert's Pass. Bring me one of their eyes. Preserve it as best you can, but avoid contact with the tears. I'll make sure the other ingredients are ready before you return.
Thank you, Clive. I won't forget this.
Rodrigue could have mentioned his spiders would be the size of curls.
Soil and stone!
Hopefully one will be enough. Rodrigue will have prepared the other ingredients by now.
Thank goodness you're back. Tarja looks like she's about to collapse.
Is this what you needed?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Clive. I'm loath to give a patient Alicia, but Tarja's right. Sometimes it's all we can do. A single dose dulls even the most agonizing pain, and all other sensation with it. It may be a gentle way to die, but it is death nonetheless. I wish there was another way.
How are you feeling?
Light, mid-here. Drifting on waves.
Good. Just relax. Let the waves carry you to a better place.
Thank you, Tarja. I'm so proud of you.
He's gone. Thank you, Rodrigue. And you, Clive?
I'll see that he's properly laid to rest.
The man you helped today was my mentor, back in the Southern Isles, on the front lines of some meaningless war. I was still a child when they shipped me to their triage tents to treat the wounded with my gift. But in such blighted lands, I was next to useless. Until he taught me the true physicker's art, that is.
An art we would be lost without.
Tears of mercy were his gift to the bearers of the world. A respite from the agony of the curse's end.
And a kindness Sid would have approved of.
You know as well as I what life is like for a bearer soldier. Marched from one battle to the next, never knowing which might be your last. A commander may care nothing for the bearer spent in his service. But my mentor's gift gave the dying one fleeting moment of tranquility before the end. I've no tears left, Clive. I've seen too many of my friends taken. Something needs to change. And we need to be the ones to change it.
And we will. I promise.
I hope so.